Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for that indulgence. Don't want to mess up the schedule of the committee today. For the record, and I'll go ahead and bring my panel too to expedite this. Delegate Kevin Hornberger here on behalf of HB-758, problem gambling, authorized use of funds alterations. So what this bill seeks to do is opt in another group of folks that are tremendously impactful and helpful when it comes to addiction counseling, which is a certified peer recovery specialist. Now you may be asking, why is this type of bill in Ways and Means? And it's because it impacts the problem gaming fund. Two reasons for this bill. One, we have identified locally, in Cecil County, you all have heard me get up on the floor numerous times about how we've been disproportionately impacted by substance use. And secondly, in this committee, we've heard audits over the last few years about the problem gaming fund. And what those audits have indicated is that overwhelmingly, a plurality of the dollars that go into that fund do not go to treat patients. I want to repeat that. The audits have found that over half of the funds in the problem gaming fund do not go towards treatment of addiction. I've actually included some supplemental material that you'll see in your packet, and I'd like to draw your attention to page 35 and 36 of the report, which I have here pictured, and you all have for the record. But as you will see when you bring up the report, the vast majority of the funds are going to University of Maryland for studies and research. We can all argue to the efficacy of that. However, it's of no surprise that the only letter of opposition in your packet is from University of Maryland. So we have some folks here today that were nice enough to spend some time and come down. They're going to talk a little bit more about the model and why we need the ability to access these funds. Because when someone identifies that they have a problem gambling issue, more often than not, that is tied to either alcohol or substance use as well. And this will give those individuals the ability to triage and treat all of the addiction and seek a cure so that we have a lower recidivism rate when it comes to addiction. So with that, I'll turn it over to the panel. Go in any order that you all want. Just identify you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee. My name is Tammy Bradford. I am a peer recovery specialist with Voices of Hope in Harford County. I am a person in long-term recovery. As of November 24th, I celebrated 6 years in recovery. Addiction can look like chaos with no way out. Every day at Voices of Hope, we walk alongside individuals struggling with multiple forms of addiction. Addiction is not limited to one substance or behavior. It can show up through substance use, gambling, eating disorders, shopping, and many other forms. At its core, addiction is addiction. The funds are generated by casinos and gambling institutions are intended to address the harms associated with addiction. Restricting those funds to only one category ignores the reality of addiction actually works. HB-758 simply recognizes what those in recovery already know. Addiction does not exist in silos. Gambling addiction in particular can be invisible. It looks like something sitting in front of a glowing screen or a quiet table, believing the next spin, the next card, the next bet will finally change everything. It's not just money, it's about the illusion of control, the belief that we try one more time, we can outsmart the odds. What begins as entertainment can slowly become dependence. The brain starts chasing the rush. Over time, it no longer is about winning. It's about escaping stress, loneliness, and pain. And in that escape, people lose more than money. They lose trust, relationships, stability, and sometimes themselves. Addiction is not a moral failure. It is a mental health issue, and recovery is possible. When we treat addiction as a whole person issue instead of a siloed problem, we save the lives and stabilize families. Because the real win isn't beating the odds. It's choosing recovery. I am standing here today because someone supported all my recovery issues, not just one part of it. Others deserve the same chance. So I respectfully urge a favorable report on HB-758. Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
My name is Hannah Papillo. I'm a peer recovery specialist with Voices of Hope in Harford County. I'm also a person in recovery. Next month, I will celebrate 4 years free from addiction. Addiction has affected my life in many forms, including substance use disorder, alcohol use disorder, gambling disorder, and major depressive disorder. I'm in recovery from all of these conditions, which is why I'm here today in strong support of House Bill 758. Addiction affects the whole person in every area of life, as well as their family. It often stems from trauma, environment, and social influences. It cannot be separated into categories like gambling or just substance use, because these behaviors frequently overlap and intertwine. In my experience, addiction meant using substances, alcohol, or gambling in excessive ways to achieve excitement or escape, and involved many failed attempts to stop. Constant mental fixation, time spent obtaining or funding these behaviors, chasing losses, dishonesty, and putting myself in dangerous situations. I risked and lost relationships, education, and work opportunities because of gambling, drug use, and alcoholism. These addictions are deeply interconnected and equally harmful. At Voices of Hope, we serve individuals every single day with multiple co-occurring disorders. Some seek help for substance use and discover that gambling has devastated their finances and their mental health. Others struggling with gambling relapse into drug use as a coping mechanism, especially dangerous given today's unpredictable drug supply. Effective treatment must be integrated. Evidence-based approaches address co-occurring disorders, underlying drivers such as impulsivity, psychiatric conditions, and behavioral addictions together. There is substantial overlap across addiction types, whether gambling, alcohol, or drugs. Funds generated by casinos and gambling institutions are meant to address addiction-related harms. Restricting those funds to only one category ignores the reality from the people suffering from multiple conditions. House Bill 758 recognizes addiction is addiction regardless of form. This bill allows organizations like Voices of Hope access to funding to provide peer recovery, treatment, navigation, and harm reduction support that treats the whole person. I'm here today because despite many serious overlapping challenges, I was treated like a whole person and supported in my healing. Everyone struggling with addiction deserves the same comprehensive care and opportunity for recovery. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rogelio Valera, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I support this bill because it ensures funds generated from gambling are used responsibly to help people who may be harmed by it. Problem gambling is a real addiction that affects individuals, families, and communities, often leading to financial hardship, mental health struggles, and relationship damage. By expanding and clarifying how these funds can be used, this legislation strengthens prevention, treatment, and recovery efforts. It allows resources to reach people earlier and more effectively, which ultimately saves money for the state and improves lives. If we are going to benefit from gambling revenue, we also have the responsibility to invest in solutions for the harm it can cause. Passing the bill is a step towards healthier and more accountable systems. And I would request a favorable decision in House Bill 758. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Ways and Means Committee. My name is Aaron Wright. I am the General Program Manager for Voices of Hope, but first and foremost, I am a person with severe substance use disorder. At least that's what my diagnosis was. So using drugs for 23 years and ending up homeless and losing all my family relationships, I thought that was it. That was drugs. But since I've been clean for about 11 years, if you ask my wife why there are 12 boxes of Adidas sneakers still unopened in my closet, why I happen to have 33 fishing poles, why I have a boat when I take it out, I want a bigger one, why when I drive off a truck off the lot, I want another one, right? And why when I get my team members a dozen donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, there always seems to be 4 missing. Not sure why. I have addiction, point blank, period. I have to live with that addiction for the rest of my life. It comes out in ways and means in which I never even saw possible. And when we're talking about addiction, it cannot be siloed because it is the individual's characteristics and behaviors that we have to treat. As my colleagues have said, it's the whole person. We don't silo mental health with substance use, do we? Right? It's all behavioral health. But this is the same thing. So any addiction, any recovery community-based organization that helps people survive and recover from addiction should have equal access to these funds. So I request that you vote favorable for House Bill 758. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Wilkins, Vice Chairperson Feldmark, and distinguished members of the House Ways Means Committee. Like Aaron said, last I checked, I got about 78 pairs of sneakers in my house and counting. And that wasn't even my main addiction when I started my journey in recovery. One thing about me, I kind of knew to stay away from gambling because I know how dangerous the idea of one is too many, but 1,000 is never enough. Like once kind of those things get going, it's like it's just hard to stop. And I've been a peer at Voices of Hope for the last 11 months now. And if somebody came in looking for help and they said their problem was this, but, oh, we can only help you with this, or your problem was that, but we can only do this, then that's very detrimental to a person. Like, I don't know where to go for help. I respectfully submit that this grant should be available to any recovery support organization serving our communities. Addiction in all its forms is addiction. It does not exist in isolation. Individuals and families affected by substance use and other addictive disorders deserve comprehensive, inclusive support systems that recognize the full scope of this public health challenge. By opening this grant to all qualified recovery organizations, we empower communities to provide meaningful, accessible support to individuals struggling with addiction of any kind. Such an approach strengthens our collective efforts and ensures that no one seeking recovery is left behind. Thank you for your time and consideration. I respectfully ask for a favorable report on HB-758. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Wilkins and Vice Chair Feldmark and members of the House and Ways Committee. I am Sue Ann Blumberg. I am the CEO at Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services. We serve about 3,000 clients a year, from early childhood through seniors. We serve both Cecil and Harford counties, providing an array of services. We are in support of House Bill 758, which would provide reimbursement through gambling funds for certified peer recovery specialists. The folks from Voices of Hope have done a remarkable job. My organization is behavioral health, so we are more on the mental health side of it. None of these things walk alone. Most of the folks that go into recovery from an addiction also have a co-occurring mental health disorder and vice versa. So it very much, these two illnesses work together. But I do want to tell you peer support, that it involves emotional support, respect, empowerment, shared responsibility, hope, and self-determination by using, and these folks talked about it, lived experience, knowledge to support those in early recovery from substance and mental health issues or behavioral health issues. Peer support is recognized as an evidence-based practice and an essential component to recovery-focused practices. Research shows that the use of peers in behavioral health settings improves outcomes, reduces costs through reductions in hospitalizations, ER visits, improves clients' quality of life on quality of life measures. So with all of this said, I urge a favorable report for House Bill 758. Thank you.
Thank you.